Oh, good afternoon, everybody. We'll go ahead and call this full Ways and Means Committee meeting to order. Welcome. Representative Carpenter, would you open us up in a brief word of prayer, please, sir? Number one.
The hour has arrived. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you and we just ask you so much to lay your hands on this meeting as we address these important issues in front of us. Give us wisdom, help us to work together to do what's best for all Georgians and to continue to bless this economy, Father. I ask for your hands on this meeting and allow us to all get along. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Thought you were going to reference 142 there for a minute, Mr. Representative. Is Chairman Belton here with House Bill 32, first on our agenda today? Chairman Belton, turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring for you House Bill 32, Lima Charlie 431950 Sierra. I really appreciate your time today. This bill should be very familiar to you because you all voted for it. Last year, it went through the Higher Ed Committee and it went to the floor of the House and was voted for almost unanimously. What it does, did you want the short version, sir, or the long version?
I think the short version is preferred.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
very good. So what it does is it gives a teacher tax credit for a teacher, a new teacher or an old teacher, as long as that teacher moved to either a very rural school or a school in the bottom 5% of the performing schools. It give that $3,000 tax credit for 5 years maximum. So it'd be $15,000 per teacher if they went to the full 5 years. And it's capped at 1,000 teachers total. So the money we're asking is a pilot program. It would be a $3 million ask for any given year. And I could talk to you an hour about the teacher pipeline. There's a lot, the teacher pipeline is going down and the number of kids is going up, and it's very, very hard. Believe it or not, last year we had over 3,000 teacher positions unfilled because we could not find a teacher to go to these kind of schools. So there's a very laser focused approach to getting teachers to go to these particular schools. And I stand for questions.
Did I see one? Wave. Are there any questions? Are there any questions to the author of the bill? Hearing none, what is the will of the committee? We have a motion to pass. Is there a second? I have a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Those opposed, like sign.
Thank you very much.
Who's on the
Mr.
rules,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman? Thank you very, very much. Next on the agenda is House Bill 302, Representative Montmahan. Is he here? You want to come over to the podium for us? And we've seen this bill for a couple of years now, but just in case anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today I have House Bill 302. House Bill 302 does three things. Number one, regulatory fees can only be used for the regulatory activity, like an inspection. Fees cannot be used to raise revenue for the general fund. Number two, local jurisdictions cannot base a regulatory fee on the actual cost of a construction job. It must be based on what actually costs to do the inspection. It clears up some conflicts in state law about how gun dealers and others are charged a regulatory fee. It does not eliminate the fee. It just clears it up with a conflict in another section. Mr. Chairman, any questions? Be happy to answer.
I don't see any questions. I know you've worked real hard to try to get this thing, right, and really appreciate all your work on it. There's one lighting up, Representative Carpenter.
Thank you, Chairman. As a big fan of Line 50, I just wanted to commend you for supporting wrestling promoters. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. It's in West Georgia, we call it wrestling.
Well, that's the will of the committee. I have a motion to pass. Do we have a second? Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Those opposed, like sign. This bill passes. Thank you very much,
you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Next on our agenda is House Bill 477. It's man of the hour. You can, you, as a member of the committee, if you want to stay there, Chairman Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HB 477, LC 431893. This is dealing with the Georgia Conservation Tax Credits. We're just extending the sunset on this bill to allow landowners to be able to continue to conserve land in our state. And that's all the bill does, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Have any questions for the author of the bill? I see no questions, so we do have a motion due passes, and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, bill passes. Thank you. Are you ready for 586? Let's just kind of continue on, sir, if you would.
LC 431956S. This is better known as the Georgia Economic Recovery Act of 2021. If you'll see, just real quick, we're extending the sunset on projects of regional significance in Section 2. Section 3, we are eliminating the sales tax on tickets sold at the performing arts museum, theater, just to try to help those folks out. They're very important to our communities across the state, so they're having a tough time right now. Section 4, we're redefining what actually a manufacturing plant for concrete is. This bill's already passed previously, but we're just clarifying that and making that definition clear on what that is and how they will be used in their exemption. And then in Section 5, this is dealing with the sales tax exemption on boats that are retrofitted in our state. These are the large boats, and that's what the bill does.
I know there is one amendment when we brought the substitute forward, Mr. Chairman, that we need to add the sunset back. And I believe Representative Williams has that amendment, or Blake, did you get that ready? Yes. Okay, I don't see any piece of paper, so. Oh, there we go. Stand by. I think, well, we'll wait and see if we have any questions or a motion, and then we'll add this, and it'll create the sunset that was already there in the original version that was accidentally struck when we edited and brought this substitute forward. Representative Smith has got a motion due pass, and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, now, Chair will entertain a motion, and I'll read this if somebody's willing to bring it forward, but it'll insert a new subparagraph C at the end of line 49. This paragraph shall stand repealed and reserved on December 31st, 2022, is the way that subparagraph C would read. On 49, if we could, Chair will entertain a motion to amend with that language. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by stating aye. Those opposed, like sign. Okay, so we have the motion do pass on the floor, and so HB 586 as amended. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, bill passes. Did you have a question, Madam Chair? That was the change is we did change the sunset. We were seeing a pretty significant return on our investment there. So that was part of, that was the request. And Chairman Stevens brought that bill forward. We included it in this package. Oh, or this particular bill. Chairman Stevens, did you want to comment?
I'm number 12. Thank you.
Yeah.
We got the numbers back on that and it was significant. There was like a $12 million expenditure at a cost of $600,000. And those folks that are above my pay grade kind of like that. And that's a very good question. And we did the same thing for the Gulf Stream sunset. We removed it permanently.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we will, that will be as a substitute, be issued as a substitute, so with the change that we made today. Have 587, House Bill 587. Representative Williamson? Not yet. Which number are you? I'm sorry. 8? Okay. Should be good.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm bringing before you today committee substitute to House Bill 587 LC 431959S. Is substantially similar to the bill we discussed yesterday in subcommittee. This bill is known as the, bear with me, get my terminology right. I didn't have the advantage of having a paper copy of the sub until right now. It's the Georgia Economic Renewal Act of 2021. As we discussed yesterday in subcommittee, it touches on 4 or 5 various income tax credit programs that the state of Georgia already has and provides some renewals of some limiting some caps on others, removing sunsets, and additionally includes some new and innovative and exciting programs to entice high-paying jobs to Georgia. So I'll direct the committee's attention to lines 24 through 82, which is the governor's initiative to retain and attract pharmacy manufacturing to Georgia, to grow jobs in that industry, and including personal protection equipment manufacturing, to better protect and have Georgians grow high-paying jobs and protect Georgians throughout the remainder of this pandemic and be better prepared for future medical emergencies. Section that ends on line 82, begin with line 83 through line 134. We address the increases in our income tax credits for our port traffic credits. This is for eligible Georgia businesses that are already qualifying for the job tax credits. They can currently earn port traffic increase credits, and that's when their shipping container traffic, and typically it's referred to as 20 TEUs, 20 equivalent feet units, or TEU equivalents. And that's old terminology. It used to be 20-foot shipping containers, and now, as we all know, they're 40-foot, but they're still stuck on the 20-foot equivalent unit terms. But when certain thresholds are met, they can qualify for an additional tax credit. This bill will allow those additional tax credits when the thresholds have been met, to be additionally used against payroll withholding taxes. After they've met all their Georgia income tax liability. If they've got leftover credits, they can carry them up to over 10 years, or they can start using them against their payroll withholding liabilities in the state. Section 2-4 marries up the mega tax credit program with the, and frankly, beginning on line 135, it begins the language that will better known as the high impact aerospace defense projects program. It'll marry up the mega job tax credit program along with the mega manufacturing investment tax credit program. As we discussed yesterday in subcommittee, this is a once in a generational event. Typically about every 20 years or so, you'll see the Department of Defense, in this case, our next generation fighters, hypersonic aircraft, advanced research being done directly with the Department of Defense, projects that would, we can envision super high paying jobs. In particular, Lockheed could be a key player in being able to utilize tax credits such as this. It takes the current $50 million cap on the credits up to $100 million. And theoretically, if Lockheed were to qualify for the full, take advantage of growing enough jobs and high paying jobs and put all these programs together, it would give them the flexibility to be able to be the low bidders on these projects that would, again, will have generational impact for not only the metro Atlanta area, but our entire state, and frankly, help meet our nation's defense needs. Coming right here out of Georgia. We talked briefly yesterday. I just always want to brag on the C-130 program. It started off as a simple cargo plane, rolled off the line in 1954, and they're still building that same essentially the same airframe design with obviously super avionics in it now. And it's been many a family as George has been blessed and troops supported all over the world with the use of that aircraft. And hopefully one of these new projects will have a similar story. After that, we've combined, bear with me. Kind of hard to, on section 3-1, it's the Rural Agribusiness and Rural Jobs Act. Many of you remember that we passed this bill out in 2017. It was specifically designed to attract and grow and invest in rural jobs in Georgia in counties with 50,000 population or less. The state partners in a funding a capital raise through the use of premium tax credits. Each round of $100 million has to be raised. $60 million of the funding comes through the use of the granting of state of Georgia income tax credits that are typically funded by in the way of income tax credits that can be used against premium taxes are owed by the insurance industry. These is vetted by the Department of Community Affairs. As any investment companies interested in participating have to have at least $100 million worth of lending experience in other states. And it's gone real well. The Georgia Department of Community Affairs has done an excellent job of overseeing this program, vetting it, making sure everybody's following the rules. Have been no instances of any misbehavior in it. The projects, the jobs that are being grown in Georgia have been a great reward for the Georgia taxpayers. In fact, the state of Georgia is only in the third year that $15 million of that $60 million is allocated, even leaves the general fund to go leaves. The first 2 years is no impact of the state budget. And it's limited to $15 million a year for 4 years to get to the $60 million. So by the time the state treasury gets hit, these jobs are growing and payroll taxes are being paid, and in particular, rural Georgia is being blessed. The next section is on page 24. It hits it's Patty Bentley's bill from several years ago that deals with Class 3 railroads. As I explained to the subcommittee yesterday, Class 3 railroads are those short line railroads that act as the key arteries, especially from small and rural towns, back to our Class 1 railroad tracks. And it helps this income tax credit-driven program will allow the continued maintenance and helps partner with these Class 3 railroads to keep their track in first-class condition, which thereby gives businesses locating along these lines the assurances that their manufactured goods and freight can get to them and from them, as the case may be, throughout all areas of Georgia. That's a lot of moving parts in this bill. Overall, it's going to be great for the state of Georgia. I think the title of it, Georgia Economic Renewal Act of 2021, is apt title, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from members of the committee.
Are there any questions? All right. Who's that? Oh, yes, sir. Number 5, excuse me. Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Don't have a little button over here to push it. So just so I can clarify the previous conversation, Representative, are we taking the sunsets off of all of our tax bills now, or is this going to be something we need to look at?
I'm sorry.
Bill by bill.
No, not all of them. Frankly, the only one that's coming off, and our legislative council can verify this, and I apologize, is the Class 3 railroad sunset's been extended.
It's been extended. It was the previous bill had one that we did, and there's an expectation there, I guess, with regards to the industry and the way that it's developed. And so it was requested that we give some certainty to that industry, and so that they're able to invest on an ongoing basis and over time. So that's why we entertained that, looked at it, and there is a strict reporting procedure regarding that particular exemption. So we have a reporting feature that happens on an annual basis as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I mean, I appreciate
it's a
the
good
fiscal
question.
responsibility of this committee. I've always appreciated that and would hate to see the sunsets disappear from our legislation.
It's certainly not a policy to start removing those. No, sir. That was a special exception that
Thank
we
you.
made. Yes, sir. Thank you. The one you just mentioned. Yes, ma'am.
Good question.
Good, very good question. I see 10 blinking here. Is that you, Mr. Vice Chairman?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. I want to say that the rail section of this bill, I consider that like the last mile project. That is a great investment because of the communities that have businesses that want to come there, and they have a connect to the ports too. But it is vital that it's like a last mile project. So that's a great part of that bill.
Representative Smith, you're exactly correct. Again, no business is going to have confidence to locate along one of these short line railroads, or no lender is going to be really interested in lending into that business and frankly, no customers are going to be large scale customers are going to want to put too much of their business with any manufacturer, for example, and it could be in my hometown of Monroe, Georgia, or any other small town in Georgia that's got a short line railroad, unless they have confidence that track's going to be maintained and their goods can go up and down that track without a fear of interruption.
I believe we have a question online. Representative Carson, Chairman Carson, my apologies, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I just wanted to thank Chairman Williamson for bringing this forward. I just had one comment and one question. The questions in regard to the credit for the Class 3 railroads. I echo the comments of Representative Smith. For these credits, this is one of the findings and recommendations out of the Freight and Logistics Commission. Is that correct?
Yes.
Representative Bentley carried this bill. I think that is correct, but I don't remember the genesis of the bill.
The
I
the
understand.
gentleman knows of what he speaks.
Okay.
Correct. And I just want to make one comment, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Chairman.
I just want to say, many of you know that I'm in the credit industry, not particularly, not in these particular areas. I had some initial concerns in regard to setting a practice where we're combining the jobs and investment credit. Because as we all know, those credits are limited to 50% of a liability of a Georgia corporate or individual taxpayer liability, and they're typically not stackable. In other words, I can't take a jobs credit and stack it with another. What I wanted to stress to the committee after lengthy discussions with some folks around the state in this area, we have a once, not just even in a generation, we have a once in a lifetime opportunity for this very technological advanced sector for aerospace defense and in the next generation of aerospace. So I appreciate Chairman Williamson bringing this forward. I know this probably is a little bit odd to stack these types of credits, but this is this important of a project and a game changer for Georgia. And I look forward to supporting this measure.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Chairman. I do. Did you make a motion, Chairman Corbett? Okay, I don't see any further questions. So we have a motion do pass and we have a second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, Chairman Wilson. Let me make sure we get this. I think LC number 431959S, since it was a substitute that was brought forward. You did, very good. All right. Representative Smith, would you mind taking over the chair? And I'll, I think just from there be fine, if you will, or 9 or 10, I can't.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now we'll have Chairman Shaw Blackman present House Bill 593.
House Bill 593 is an adjustment and the standard deduction for income tax. And I guess you can see on the second page there that it increases our standard deduction by roughly $800 in single, and then corresponding with married filing joint and married filing separate. We're at about $120 million projected impact there, and would just allow our families and this time of need the ability to keep some of their own money. So that's really essentially in short what the bill does, Mr. Chairman. I'll answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any questions by members of the committee or anybody online? We got a motion do pass. Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. The bill do pass, Mr. Chairman. Back over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Representative Smith. I appreciate that. Does anybody have anything further for the committee today? I believe that was our last agenda item. Hearing nothing, I appreciate your patience today, and thank you, everybody. We stand adjourned.